on Pac-12 Networks.
The word is scary. Stanford is so deep, so strong, so well coached.
Ball to Ajanaku with the finish.
Burgess again, yes. Ajanaku puts it away.
Is Stanford going to go all the way undefeated?
They have the tools to do it. Can the Sun Devils be the team to finally unseat the Cardinal? We find out next. It's a beautiful evening here in Stanford, California, and perfect conditions for Pac-12 volleyball and two of the top teams in the nation. The Cardinal are back home to Maples Pavilion, undefeated and ranked number 1. It's number 20 Arizona State and number 1 Stanford, presented by Tachikara. As we take a look at the Pac-12 and where they fall in the national rankings, they are doing very well. A record 8 teams in the top 25. The top 2 are Pac-12 teams, Stanford and Washington, still undefeated. A good seed for the conference. And thanks for joining us, everybody. Krista Blanc along with Tammy Blackburn. And Tammy, this Arizona State team comes in. They're ranked number 20. They know the importance of possibly getting a win here because they're already looking ahead, looking at some postseason play.
Well, that's a really good point. Now, Jason Watson, the head coach of ASU, said we're doing something in the second half of this season. We're trying to make a case statement for the NCAA tournament. It would be a remarkable win and a strong case statement to beat Stanford on their home floor.
It definitely would, but a reason the Cardinal are ranked number 1 in big part is because of their balanced attack.
And that balance goes across 30 feet of the net. They set the pin hitters nicely. Morgan Bowcather, who is stepping up and having a nice season, continues to improve, but it's a team that looks to hit the middle when they can. Moretta Lutz is just one option, and how about the other option? Inky Ajanaku, if not right in the middle, on the slide play. Don't forget about the ever-athletic Jordan Burgess, who will take a lot of swings.
Not quite the same amount of balance on the other side for Arizona State, but they have a good one in Macy Gardner.
What more can you say about Macy Gardner? She is the player that leads by example. She takes a lot of swings, and she takes this team on her back. They don't want to lean on her too much. Jason Watson said, we can't be Macy-centric, but they have the balance. The issue is that when they need something, they always lean on her because she always comes through.
These two teams met up earlier in the season. The Cardinal got the win in 4. Can the Sun Devils turn it around on them? Number 1 Stanford, undefeated, taking on Arizona State. We'll have the starting lineups for you right after this on Pac-12 Networks. Pac-12 Women's Volleyball is presented by Tachikara. We've got the ball, you bring the game. There's downtown Palo Alto. We are on the campus of Stanford University in Stanford, California, and our starting lineups look like this for the number 1 team in the nation. It's Morgan Bowcather, as well as Brittany Howard. The setter is Maddie Bugg and Kyle Gilbert. And on the other side for the Sun Devils, Bianca Ariano and Hallie Harker, the setter, and the libero for them. Our starting lineups brought to you by Tachikara. Krista Blanc along with Tammy Blackburn here at Maples Pavilion. As we take a look at our series history, the Cardinal lead it. They have dominated 64-4. The last time the Sun Devils got a win, Tammy, was back in 2000, and John Dunning was not even the head coach for the Stanford Cardinal. So it's been a while. They would love to pull an upset, though. And this Arizona State team is a team that seems to play well in those first matches of their weekends.
Oh, they can. And I mean, if they just stay focused, they've got to be able to play well for a longer period of time. The last time these two teams met, Jason Watson, the head coach of ASU, said, I was just disappointed. We played well, but we didn't play well long enough.
Got to find that consistency longer, and it's been a struggle as that pass goes out of bounds. The first point will go to the Cardinal. Good hustle from Bianca Ariano, their junior setter out of Phoenix. She's been doing a little bit of everything as Maddie Bugg will go back to serve, the junior out of Apex, North Carolina. Tough serve to handle, the overpass. The Sun Devils keep it alive. Bowcather off the block. Gardner, a little roll shot, takes some off. The tip by Bowcather. Nice rally from both sides. Willie with the up. Harker gets that one for the Sun Devils. Gardner, another roll shot. Players all over the court for the Cardinal and the free ball. This crowd appreciative of the hustle. Gardner that time, the set just a little too low. that Stanford is going to be aggressive. They're going to go right at Macy Gardner for the serve. And if you like what you see tonight, hashtag ASU versus Stanford. ASU vs STAN. Let us know about it. Well, you're going to see some great action in this one. Two of the top teams in the nation. We have the top team in Stanford, and there the finish from Jordan Burgess as she finds the opening in the back. Jordan Burgess, the junior out of Fort Myers, Florida. She's part of that junior class. It was the #1 recruit class in the nation coming in. They have had a lot of success so far, and this season undefeated. Burgess right at the block, and the point to the Sun Devils.
Here's an important note. Whitney Follett, part of that block right there. There she is, number 8 for the Sun Devils. Did not play last time against this Stanford team. She hasn't seen them this year. They have not seen her.
Yeah, Whitney Follett, she was out for a big chunk of time from September 13th until October 17th. She had an appendicitis attack while they were on the road, had to have surgery in Louisville, Kentucky. Shot off the mark there to Mercedes-Benz in the middle. But they are glad to have Follett back. But Tammy, they had much more balance with their attack early on. And when you lose a couple of key players, also Shannon McCready, one of their seniors for this team, she was also out with the concussion. So you lose a couple of starters and it changes things.
And you can't just go to the pin. You got to be able to engage your middle, and Whitney Follett brings that presence.
Slide to Benz, and she will get the point.
A long, lean, athletic player is Benz, continuing to improve each match. Jason Watson says she really gives us what we need when we need it. She makes very good reads, and when you see ASU can stay in system, make sure they get that set. They're going to try as much as they can.
Jump serve from Ariano, the middle to Lutz. Gardner just wide, and it'll go to the Cardinal. She gets up on that. Very athletic, though, is Gardner. As coming in is Megan McGee for Stanford, the junior out of Lee's Summit, Missouri. Been seeing a little more time. John Dunning, as the season's gone along, has gone a little deeper into his bench at times. Nice shot from the middle there from Benz for the point.
I like the fact that he is bringing McGee in for Stanford. I saw this team, Stanford, on Sunday at Oregon, and McGee came in for service. There's John Dunning. He says a lot of our opponents are starting to figure out where our weaknesses are, so he's got to become better, and that's what coaches do as the season goes on. Not only do the players develop, coaches have to strategize and make tough decisions as well.
No, he told us as Inky Ajaniku gets the finish there. He likes the fact that his team wants to continue to get better. They're not just looking at this season being undefeated and thinking that they're perfect with everything. They are still working on things.
Oh, you're right. It's a good point. This Stanford team, undefeated, they have to find a way to take away things from wins, and that sometimes can be hard to do. You can learn a lot from a loss, but can you take away from a win?
Now the service there to Morgan Bocather. Service error gives the point to the Sun Devils, and it'll be Mercedes-Benz stepping back, the junior out of South Pasadena, California. You know, she was a bright spot when these teams met earlier on October 12th. She had 12 kills, hit .357. Just didn't have enough others to go with her. And now back-to-back service errors. That time definitely hurting, and it was service errors that hurt the Sun Devils the last time they faced the Cardinals.
Yeah, that is one of the keys for this matchup, is that they can't have 9 service errors. They've got to eliminate those. Those are automatic points, and if you try to get 14, 15, 16 kills per set, you got to find points in other places.
Big swing from Kizzy Willie. The block was waiting on it. The Sun Devils coming into this one, number 20 in the nation, their head coach Jason Watson in his 7th season as their head coach. He was a standout at BYU back in the day. He was a coach there prior to taking over at Arizona State. Burgess gets the tip off the block, and the Cardinal get the point.
Yeah, on Sunday, there were times against Oregon that Jordan Burgess had to make lemonade out of lemons, and you can see that Maddie Bugg had to go down and get that set and just throw it up to give Burgess something at least decent to hit, but she presented a nice hittable ball.
Back set way outside to Bree Bailey, who's checked in for the Sun Devils. Overpass, Burgess is there, tips it, and that, they say, goes wide. So a break for Arizona State.
Now, don't be surprised to see this player right here for Stanford set the ball. Maddie Bug will have to dig, and she'll dig more than she likes to dig because she wants to be setting. So this Stanford team working on their middle setting.
Jump serve from Bailey. And straight down is Jordan Burgess. When the pass and the set are perfect, Tammy, that's what happens.
She's so athletic, and people describe her as just having a natural feel for the game. Just an experienced player for the Stanford Cardinal team. Played last year 112 sets, some of the most sets by the Stanford Cardinal player.
And Burgess, an All-American honorable mention last year, as Kyle Gilbert has the serve. Gardner out of the back. Bowcather out of the back, goes long, and the point will go to the Sun Devils. Arizona State not going away. There's been errors on both sides.
Well, this is an Arizona State team that at the beginning of the year was focusing on finding their defensive identity and continued to do that and improved. And Jason Watson was pleased with what they were able to find, and they continue to dig deep defensively. And they're looking for blocks as part of your defensive package.
Short, quick to Lutz. They'll say it was in. It caught the sideline. Moretta Lutz, the 6'8" redshirt freshman, middle out of Houston. What an addition she's been. She's leading the nation in hit percentage at .468 coming into this one. Pretty impressive.
And her teammate third in the nation, Inky Ajanaku.
Follett tries to get it past Lutz in the middle, and that is not easy to do.
It's a big presence, and sometimes you want to look on how you can actually hit around a blocker, but she goes right into the hands, and Lutz penetrates.
Stanford extends their lead here in set one. We'll see if Jason Watson's team can regroup right after this on Pac-12 Networks.
Pac-12 Networks.
Maddie Bug, the junior setter for the Stanford Cardinal, a big reason for their success.
She's the reigning Pac-12 setter of the year. How about leading the nation in assists with over 12? And she continues to do it all. This is Maddie Bug's team, although when you speak to John Dunning and the Stanford Cardinal team, it's about team, it's not about one player, but she certainly is one of those players that makes this team go.
She definitely is. She was the Pac-12 setter of the year last season. 3,227 assists coming into this one. She's 6th all-time. And also interesting that she played in a 6-2 system in high school, and John Dunning said it took her a while to get used to being that solo setter. See if the Sun Devils can make some adjustments. Gardner at the block. They'll go to her again. Tries to get it up and over the block. No touch. It'll go to Stanford.
You see just the presence of Bowcather and Lutz at the net. That Lutz player who stands so tall, and when she reaches above the net, she's 6'8". So think about 7'10", those long hands. Macy Gardner chose to go high, but long.
Service goes long, so Arizona State will get it back. As Hallie Harker will step back to serve. There's Maddie Bug calling out the play as she gives the hand signal behind the jersey. There's Harker, the freshman libero out of Bakersfield, California. Pass a little off the mark, but able to adjust, and Lutz saying it wasn't pretty, but I will take it.
Yeah, sometimes Stanford, you know, they can make things happen when it's not exactly where Maddie Bug was set in terms of getting her target. And now remember, she understands that her players in front of her are big, so she wants to get to the net, and she wants to receive that pass. Stanford is running a quick offense.
Short floater from Burgess. Gardner up above everybody, even had to reach behind a little bit.
And not really an ideal set, but she can make things happen. You see that she adjusted that time because she still had Lutz getting up there. Now, watch the movement, the swing block, and she sees that seam. She knows she has to be able to put the ball right in between that block.
Macy Gardner, the junior out of Gilbert, Arizona, with 13 double-doubles on the season as Howard tips it over the block. Lutz, the quick in the middle, and just too much for Willie. Point to the Cardinal.
Anybody can side out, but are you really good when you're in system? Are you a good defensive team when your opponent is in system? And you see how lethal Stanford can be. They are so quick. Now we saw, you talk about up-tempo offense, Krista. How about Oregon and Stanford on Sunday? You talk about two quick offenses.
Really something quick. Back set to Gardner as she got there, and they get the free ball. Ariano outside and a big swing by Bree Bailey. They need to get Bree Bailey going, the sophomore out of Highland, Utah. She struggled hit in the negative against Stanford earlier in the year. And they'd like to get her numbers up if they can. Gardner with the serve.
Short serve. Good move.
Bowcather, what a shot. Second ball taken over by Mercedes-Benz. Excellent hustle by the Cardinal, but they cannot keep it alive. And Arizona State still hanging right in this.
I love the decision for Gardner to be able to short serve, put a little bit of pressure on Stanford, not allow them to get that ideal pass that they want. Maddie Bugg had to dig in that second sequence.
And that service just too long for Gardner, so the Cardinal will take it back. And Kelsey Humphreys will check in for Stanford. Jason Watson looking on his team. This is quick turnaround for them. They had a win against Utah. It was a 5-set match, very tough match. A loss against Colorado right after that. Another 5-set match. He said, my team's pretty tired, and also you got those things called classes that they have to attend, but quick turnaround. They are here, and a little fingertip there from Mercedes-Benz will go.
Yeah, you know, she's long and lean, and she's got some hang time, and so she can do this. She can brush it if she misses it, and she just gets under it to brush it. That ball's got some backspin on it, and it falls into space.
The numbers for Mercedes, they met up back in October 12th, and she was pretty solid. 12 kills, 357 against the Cardinal. Jonica in the middle. They're going to say she caught that outside line, and the Sun Devils thought it was wide. What a shot from Inky.
There's almost no defense for this. I mean, look at the angle that she takes. She goes off 1 foot. Love the story about her being mistaken around campus for Chineke Gumake, the All-American basketball player. Great story. She said she just rolls with it, Krista.
Why not?
Yeah, I would too.
It's not a bad thing to be compared to. And the service ace from Brittany Howard forces Jason Watson to call the timeout. So the 12th ace on the year for Brittany Howard. And it's all about serving, passing. When you talk to all these coaches, are those things in sync? Those are the areas that John Dunning told us that his team's starting to figure out those little niches. Even though the majority of their game looks very solid, there's little things they can figure out.
Yeah, go back to Inky Ajanaku off of 1 foot there, and you see how powerful it is. It's a sharp angle just to the outside. Just a nice full swing by Inky. Krista, I think that you bring up a really good important point, because for serve and pass, yes, volleyball, but this is a Stanford team that John Dunning will say it really is emphasized more in our program, because we're set up offensively for the serve and the pass, probably more so than other programs. So they lean on that.
The improvement for Inky Ajanaku, her blocking numbers, she's 7th in school history. Blocking numbers for her, her hitting numbers are spectacular. She's coming off of last week being the offensive player of the week. She hit .436 in that weekend. She and Loretta Lutz, they were both honored by the conference last week. This is the best start for the Stanford Cardinals since 1991. That season they were 27-0. This year, 22-0 and 12-0 in conference. What a great start. And it has not been easy, Tammy. 11 of Stanford's 22 wins have gone against ranked teams.
John Dunning doesn't really care about rankings. He doesn't care about RPI. He doesn't care about the fact that they're trying to go undefeated. He says, we really just want to continue to improve. And, well, they're improving. Stanford hitting .238, 6 kills. Pretty good stat line, and ASU is going to have to find a way to not hit in the negative.
Yeah, Stanford holds their opponents to hitting .182, and they are doing a much better job than that so far on the Sun Devils. Burgess with the tip up and over, and nobody there. Jordan Burgess, big smile on her face. The Gatorade National Player of the Year when she came in.
I love what she said about what she learned when she was young and playing volleyball. She went to Karch Karai's camp, and she said, Karch said that if you want to stay in the game, you got to do a little bit of everything. So she works on her craft, an all-around player for Stanford.
Ajanaku in the middle, straight down.
Imagine you're an opponent facing Stanford. You've got Loretta Lutz in the middle, who's leading the nation in hitting percentage at .468. You've got this player who's 3rd in the nation at .462 hitting percentage, and they're both middles, the toughest attack to defend.
Tough serve there, Willie off the block. And that shot there, everything going for the Cardinal as Maddie Bugg just trying to give the free free ball over, took a little bit off and found the back corner.
You know, you wonder how many teams teach just getting the free ball over or you making something of it. How about Maddie Bug just finding the gap, took a glance, found the spot.
She's pretty surprised and pleased all at once. Joust at the net, Bug able to win it. Well, Maddie Bug playing very well right now. Follett back up in the front row for the Sun Devils. Willie had the roll shot. Back set to Bree Bailey off the block. Hard shot from Burgess and a net violation against the Sun Devils. It'll go to the Cardinal. So Stanford controlling this set. Brittany Howard back to serve. Already an ace in this set. Tough shot, Gilbert got there. Janaku, short, quick, somehow. Sun Devils keep it alive, but the overpass went right back to Inky, and she knew what to do with it.
Yeah, it started off a little rough for ASU because Macy Gardner had to try to make a pass, and she's a very good passer. She just didn't get them in system right off the bat, and so Stanford just really gets in the driver's seat at that point in time.
Set point for the Cardinal. Willie off the block. How about Maddie Bug taking that second ball over? She fooled everyone, and the Cardinal with a big win in set one. Number one, Stanford, trying to remain undefeated. We'll see if the Sun Devils can regroup right after this on Pac-12 Networks. Tradition of championships, 6 altogether. They are tied for the most with Penn State. Their first one back in 1984. How about 10 years later, 94. And then 2004. Something about the fours, Tammy. John Dunning has been part of 2 of those, the 2001 and the 2004. And right now, 22-0, number one team in the nation. Could this team take the championship and add to the banner?
They're certainly going to try for it. And again, John Dunning will tell you, I don't look at rankings. I don't care that we're undefeated. What I want to talk about is I want to talk to my team about the takeaways. They're very much focusing on being able to tighten up the little things. He told me on Sunday against Oregon, here's something that, well, defenses have to tighten up on. This player right here, Inky Ajanaku, 4 kills on 5 attempts. A total of team 3 hitting errors for Stanford, but none for Inky. The middle hitter, middle blocker, hitting 80% right now.
Big smile on her face, and for good reason. Her team playing very well. She's a fun teammate. She's just one of those players. She's giving everybody high fives right now. She's on the court and she wasn't even supposed to be.
Vocal leader, big personality. I think every team needs one. Good to have on the team. This is a Stanford Cardinal team that has a great tradition in women's volleyball for dressing up at Halloween and making the rounds around the athletic department. And Inky had great costume. She was a granny, and she looked really good. She had a gray wig, a pink robe. I mean, she played it up.
Well, the hitting not going well for the Sun Devils. We'll see if they can regroup here, see if Jason Watson and his team can make some adjustments, but it's going to be tough. They're going to have to slow down Jordan Burgess. She has really been on a roll.
Yeah, it's happening so fast, and the defense, there's just some holes in the back row there for ASU that Stanford is finding.
Lutz in the middle for the Cardinal. Bug with the serve, the slide to Mercedes-Benz, and she finds the opening. Good sign for the Sun Devils.
Yeah, that's a good pass, and Ariano's able to read that this could happen right here, that slide off of 1 foot. She's just as good as any other slide hitters in the conference.
Bianca Ariano to serve. She's got a tough jump serve. And now she has to handle that pass. Big shot from Lutz in the middle, and the free ball. Lutz again, straight down. Loretta Lutz she has really come on, especially as of late. Her numbers have been phenomenal, but the redshirt freshman, she was out preseason with a sprained ankle, Tammy. It took her a little bit of time to kind of get back into things. Can you imagine if she'd been healthy the whole time?
That's a very good point, and a question. It's like remarkable what she's been able to do.
Her learning curve has just kicked in, and she is just getting better and better. Burgess out of the back, tries to tip it. Let's again, catches the sideline.
Maddie Bug is just getting to her spot. Kyle Gilbert, the libero for Stanford, puts it right there where Maddie Bug wants it. Moretta Lutz is able to hit in transition and make her approach.
Big difference in the kills between these two teams, but Mercedes-Benz continues to roll. And that's exactly what happened in the match back on October 12th. The Cardinal really didn't have an answer for her.
Well, you mentioned it. She hit 357, and she leads the team with these numbers here tonight. That's a pretty good stat line, but I was hoping to see a little bit more out of the middle for ASU. You don't want to lean on those pins, but right now the slide working for ASU.
A little bit of the block going now. Burgess out of the back, finds an opening. Janaku back in, as well as Megan McGee for the Cardinal. The Stanford team coming off of wins at Oregon State and at Oregon this past weekend. Their blocking game has been solid. Their serving as well. Benz tries to tip it over Inky. Howard, and somehow able to recover that one. Back set to Bailey. They're going to say that one hit the court, and the point will go to Arizona State.
That was nicely done. I loved seeing Bailey be able to get out. She knew that there was going to be a good pass, so she gets wide. She hits her touch point. She got a great approach. A nice full swing. Her coach, Jason Watson, complimenting her on that earlier today, and serve and pass.
Yeah, he said Bree Bailey's been so tough on herself. She's really hard on herself, and he just wants her to go out and play her game. As a little miscue there from Mercedes-Benz, and the point will go to Stanford. I'm impressed with Mercedes-Benz, though, the junior, her improvement. It's something that Jason Watson said there were times back when she first came in, we weren't sure if she was really going to be able to juggle both play and studies at this level, and she's been exceptional. Bailey off the block, it's in. Point to Arizona State.
There was a key to Bailey being so good early on in her career. She's just a sophomore. She graduated early from high school. She actually joined this ASU team in January, and their springs are light. So she got to kind of ease into it, and she was just a semester ahead in terms of her training, and she said the payoff was huge.
Tough serve that set up that entire sequence by Bailey, and waiting on the other side was Follett.
The same thing happened to her teammate, Kizzy Willie, who coincidentally both of them come from Highland, Utah, although they went to different high schools. Getting there early has huge rewards.
Well, it definitely does. Another tough service. The Cardinals just have to continue with the free ball. There's Willie off the block. Back set to Bocather out of the back. She's been quiet. Howard tips it over, and the overpass is tipped in by Inky Ajanaku.
Well, you appreciate the effort by Bailey. I mean, she's covering so much of the court. That was great for her to get down, and you see her try to get back up, but that ball right into the hands, and she just tips it to Inky Ajanaku, who, standing right there, she's explosive right above the net.
What a read by Ajanaku. Stanford digging the ball well also. Serve and pass, serve and pass. Ariano tries to take the second ball. They're just hard off the block. Parker was able to get up and save it. Ajanaku off the slide. Burgess. And a net violation against Arizona State. It'll go back to the Cardinal.
ASU was staying close, and that's key for them in set number 2. Jason Watson would love his team to not allow Stanford to pull away. They got to find their rhythm. They got to get into that rhythm and then stay in that rhythm. Easier said than done.
Well, he said it's really a team that was flowing early on, that when they had those few injuries, they just have not been able to get that rhythm back. As Inky enough off the block there to get the point. Just one senior for Arizona State, just 2 for the Cardinals. So both of these teams fairly young. A lot of this talent will be back next year. Short, quick, that time to Follett. Bocather out of the back. Willie right into that block. And a double hit called on Arizona State. So a couple of errors back to back, and Stanford able to extend their lead here in set 2. Jason Watson's team gonna have to regroup. Down 1-0.
Today, it's a women's soccer battle as rival Stanford.
Number 1 Stanford trying to remain undefeated. They are up by 4 here in set number 2. And you see the staff of John Dunning's there. Denise Corlett, in her 26th season, she's an associate head coach. She was a phenomenal athlete, Tammy, but John will lean on her quite often, but she was a spectacular athlete out of UCLA.
She's been here for a long time, graduated in '81. She's a badminton champion. She's a basketball national champion in 1978. 3-time volleyball All-American. UCLA member of the Hall of Fame. Wow, that's telling you something.
Yeah, it is. She brings so much to it, and you can ask any coach around this conference, and they lean on their assistants so often. So we'll see what the Sun Devils can do out of the timeout. Ariano tries that second ball again. A Janaku in the middle. A lot on it, the overpass. And on the other side was Maddie Bug, big fist bump.
And 2 of them consecutive. Inky Janaku gets the first one. It comes right back at Maddie Bug. Unfortunate. And look at the big swing there. And Parker for ASU.
Tough serve from Brittany Howard, sent right back over.
Short serve.
Ariano out to Willie.
Follett quick hands at the net.
There's the block again. And the Sun Devils so close, but 4 hits. It'll go back to Stanford. This Stanford team, 27-6 last year, finished 2nd in the Pac-12 and lost to Penn State in the regional final in the NCAA tournament, and that motivated this group. They had a great spring and summer, John Dunning said, and it is really what led to this undefeated season so far. It's how they prepared and got themselves many months ago. Inky trickles that one over the net.
Krista, a lot of volleyball coaches will talk about, being able to get in rhythms. Of course, staying in system is very important, but finding your personality, how difficult is it to find rhythm in your own team personality when you're going against a team that seemingly finds their personality each and every match? It's something that ASU was able to do, just not sustain it the last time these 2 teams met.
Janaku again, the block was waiting, and Arizona State will take it.
Keeping their composure will certainly be important as Inky goes off that slide and hits that into the tape. But it's an ASU team that knows how to battle, and Jason Watson, complimentary of his team, saying, I like the way sometimes my team digs deep. They know how to battle. We're used to these situations, thanks in part to the strength of this conference.
Well, they have seen a lot of 5-set matches in which they have had to continue to come back. Last weekend was a perfect example. Burgess tips that one over. Nice effort from Shannon McCready, but she just couldn't get there.
Well, and that's a tough assignment because you got Burgess who can really hammer the ball. So McCready is in the proper defensive position. And then Burgess, she's got so much hang time, great athletic ability. She sells that hammer and then just comes up with a nice tip.
Gilbert with the serve. Outside to Gardner and hard off the block. And Arizona State could use a few more of those.
Krista, you were down at ASU when this team came back to beat Washington State, who jumped out 2-0 against ASU. And I was watching, and you and I were both talking about Macy Gardner. Now, the middles and the blocking was certainly an important part of it, but they went to Macy Gardner, and she delivered.
But they don't want to be Macy-centric. It's right. What Jason Watson told us as well, because he wants more of the balance that we see from this Stanford team.
It comes from Bailey. It comes from Follett, who did not play against this Stanford team earlier. It comes from Binns.
Hard off the block, out of bounds there. There's Gardner again. Arizona Arizona State hanging right in here.
You see that she brings so much. I mean, she's delivers points. Kills per set, 4.13. Digs per set, 2.67. Sixth in the Pac-12.
Coming into this one, 1,475 kills in her career. She's sixth all time. The big swing there, Morgan Bocather finally getting going. Morgan Bocather last year played much more of a reserve role. She had a few knee injuries. They had a variety of different players, but a couple of players graduating, and they shifted things around, and she is having career numbers this year.
She played 22 sets in 2013. You're right, a reserve role. She sat behind Rachel Williams, didn't get a lot of playing time. But John Dunning, highly complimentary of Bocather, saying she continues to get better. How about that match against Penn State earlier in the season, right here in Maples Pavilion? You were doing that game. Bocather, 15 kills, 34 attempts.
She has been solid. They thought they had the block right there with Bocather and Lutz, but it goes Arizona State's way. A tough serve there for Gilbert to handle. I like the scrappiness of this Arizona State team. They just don't go away, and that shot there, enough off the block from Kizzy Willie.
Scrappiness, I mean, this is what it's all about for ASU. They're just trying to close this window. The margin of error against the Stanford team is so small. You have to be so good. And it was a Stanford team that a few moments ago pulled away, and now ASU scrapping right back into it.
Back set to Bocather, the block just wide, and it'll go back to Stanford. Inky Ajanaku will check back in, as well as Megan McGee.
They really sub McGee in for serving. You can tell that John Dunning, a huge vote of confidence in McGee.
And the tip and a miss from Inky. You don't see that very often, and Arizona State will get the point.
And that set kind of floated and went right over her head, just off just a bit in the timing.
With the athleticism and the reach of Inky Ajanaku, you don't see her miss. There are many that she can't at least get a fingertip on. They go to her again, and the block there in the middle for the Sun Devils.
Sorry, Krista, but that block read that perfectly. First of all, it was a perfect pass, a great set. It happened quickly, but the block stayed home. They read it, and look, the timing, they explode. They didn't really penetrate, but they penetrated enough.
Mia Mazan, a sophomore defensive specialist, has checked in to serve. And just too much on that one. It'll go back to the Cardinal. That might be a hashtag play. If you think you've seen one of the best plays here tonight, make sure you let us know. 12 best.
In between sets, I actually got on my phone and I hashtag ASU versus STAN because Inky Ajanaku had some nice slides and some nice down balls in the first set.
Yeah. Well, with Pac-12 volleyball, you're going to see some of the best play in the nation. Again, 8 teams this past week in the top 25. And Oregon State actually receiving some votes as well. But that's a Pac-12 record. And RPI, this conference also very strong. 9 teams in the top 35. As they try to go to the middle, and Follett, the block was waiting.
You certainly want to get Follett involved. I mean, she is a force and has a presence on this team, so she's got to be engaged in a match like this.
Kelsey Humphreys with the service. She's a backup setter for the Cardinal. Cardinal keep it alive. Bailey, tough shot from her, a little roll shot from Howard, and they're going to call a lift on Arizona State.
So close in their execution. ASU was just so close. They're knocking at the door, but Stanford a little too good.
Arizona State.
And Jason Watson talking to the officials.
It's time to announce
and a timeout here at Maples Pavilion. I don't think he agreed with the lift call. But our rep official Bill Forrester and Jason Olson also assisting. He will try to make some changes. Well, Saturday, it's another exciting football Saturday on Pac-12 Networks with 2 big Pac-12 matchups. At 1, the Washington State Cougs take on Sean Mannion and the Oregon State Beavers in Corvallis. And then at 5, the number 19 Arizona Wildcats look to continue their 2014 campaign as they host Colorado. Live coverage starts next Saturday at noon with the football pregame show and ends with football postgame at 8:30. It's all here on Pac-12 Networks and Pac-12 Now.
It is hard to believe that football season is coming to an end, but what's not coming to an end is women's volleyball. The RPI rankings that you were just mentioning. There's Stanford number 1, Washington in at number 4, Oregon, USC, UCLA, Arizona, Colorado, Arizona State, Oregon State. The bottom half of that graphic really dominating in terms of the RPI rankings. How about 9 teams in the top 35? And gosh, I am really pulling for that Utah squad. I have seen them this year. I watched them on TV earlier on in the year beat this ASU team there on Crimson Court at their home floor, and then just gave them a match the other night on Halloween, a thriller, no pun intended, but it's Utah a couple weeks ago at a 49 RPI, and they went to Washington, then they fell to 55, but such a good team, and they're so close, Krista, on the cusp.
They definitely are at a 59 RPI this week, but as you mentioned, 9 teams in the top 35. They could get there. There's still plenty of matches to go. It's just a matter of getting some big wins, and all these teams beating up on each other right now.
I said something to somebody the other day who asked me about Utah. I said, I still think they're going to win some games, and there's no doubt they can.
Out of the timeout, big shot there from Bree Bailey, and that's a good sign for the Sun Devils. That's exactly what you want out of a timeout.
Again, closing this lead. Stanford pulled away, ASU battling, and that's what they're trying to do, just trying to focus on each and every point.
Jump serve from Bailey. Burgess out of the back. You don't see a lot of attack out of the back from the Cardinal, but they have the capabilities. Willie off the block. Ariano goes up against a couple of blockers in the middle that time.
How'd she get that pass? Jonaku and Howard.
Tough shot from Follett, able to get it past. Out of the back, they try to go to Gardner, and it was just too low.
And didn't get the explosion that she normally gets, that lift, and really just didn't have a lot of time to get set up into her approach.
Brittany Howard, the junior out of Los Altos, California. Second ball over by Ariano. Tough shot from Willie, the block right there, and it's stuffed right back to her.
Close. It wasn't much. I mean, it was awfully close. A big swing by Kizzy Willie, an impressive player.
Howard continues to serve. Already an ace in this one. Burgess, big swing. Nice up from Gardner. The tip over, but the block right back at her. And Willie having a tough time getting it past the block. But don't go away. We have our Pac-12 intermission report with Jill Savage. She's going to talk some top 10 men's soccer. Number 3, Washington. Number 10, Stanford. Also, more from the sports report update. Lots going on this time of year where so many different sports are overlapping.
I saw Stanford women's basketball team practicing just right next to Maples Pavilion in the practice gym earlier today.
Overpass. Ariano's there, and the point to the Sun Devils. It is that time of year. Soccer is winding down. Final regular season matches. Pac-12 volleyball in the second half. And basketball right around the corner.
In fact, our Pac-12 crew couldn't get in Maples Pavilion to set up until late because Johnny Dawkins, the head coach of the men's Stanford team, was in here working his team out.
Going to call a lift on the Cardinals. So a break for the Sun Devils as they are hanging in here in set 2. Tough start for them. Definitely all Stanford in set 1, but they have made it very close here in set 2.
You don't think that Kelsey Humphreys just wanted the opportunity as the backup setter to just get that one quickly to Inky. Nicely done by Humphreys and Inky.
You know, quite often we say straight down. That was about as close to being straight down as you can get. What a shot from Inky.
About a 10-degree angle, that's it.
Wow. Gardner. How about that one? That's not far off either.
That's not too bad.
Found the opening, nobody there, and they can't have her up front enough, can they?
No, they can't go to her enough. And, you said it earlier about being Macy-centric. They want balance, but, when you get what you get from her, it's hard not to go to her.
Not many teams have had an answer for her. Back set as Sydney Brown has checked in for the Cardinal. There's Brown again. And a net violation. It'll go to the Cardinal.
How about the freshman getting 2 consecutive swings? A good vote of confidence. She'll take the ball and go back to serve.
Set point number 1 for the Cardinal. Brown, who has a solid jump serve. A lot of spin on that one. Quick to Benz. Ariano trying to take that one, but the big block was waiting. So set number 2 will go to the Cardinal as well.
Stanford is quick. Their execution is sharp. Jason Watson acknowledges that they play clean and that the margin for error is so small, and you have to be so good. What's working in this match tonight is the passing, and Maddie Bug, the setter for Stanford, is able to get the sets to the middles.
We're joined now by Jason Watson, the head coach of the Sun Devils. And Jason, it looks like mostly the hitting errors standing out. What's standing out mostly to you?
Mostly? Yeah, that's a kind way of saying that we're hitting a lot of balls out of bounds and in the block. I think that's everything. We get a little run going, and then all of a sudden it ends with those errors.
Jason, how important is it for your team to think about the word composure? It's a word that you've used so often throughout the season because it's a great word to have in this conference. Do you go in and talk about composure and playing for each point?
Yeah, we're always talking about it. Perhaps we need to talk about it more. But that's what it's about. It's about competing on every point and being composed and being patient. And we're none of those things this evening.
All right, Jason, we'll see if you can regroup here at the break. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Jason Watson's team has to find a way to get things turned around. The Stanford Cardinal up 2-0. Jill Savage is waiting in our Pac-12 Network studios for the Intermission Report. And we'll have more of this one for you after that for Pac-12 Networks.
Welcome into our San Francisco studios. I'm Jill Savage. We'll get you back out to Arizona State and Stanford shortly. But first, the conference has already honored Colorado's outside hitter Taylor Simpson, and now she has received a national honor as well. Simpson has been named the ESPNW Volleyball Player of the Week. In the Bucks' upset win over 15th-ranked Arizona and 19th-ranked Arizona State, Simpson recorded a total of 35 kills, 24 digs, and 7 solo blocks. You can see the Bucks back in action here Thursday night against 15th-ranked UCLA, and a big matchup, 16th-ranked Arizona taking on number 1 Stanford Friday night here on the networks. And it's going to be one of the biggest men's soccer matches this season. Friday, 3rd-ranked Washington travels to the Farm to take on 10th-ranked Cardinal, and this is the rematch. One of Stanford's 2 losses this season came at the hands of the Huskies back on October 5th. The last time the Cardinal beat UW was back in 2008. In men's water polo, it's the big splash this weekend between Stanford and Cal. Saturday will mark the 3rd meeting between the 2 teams this season, and this is the rubber match as each team has 1 win apiece. Stay tuned. Your Pac-12 Sports Report update is next. I'm Jill Savage, back with your Sports Report update. In college football, Arizona State will wrap up the non-conference schedule this weekend with a bang. The 11th-ranked Sun Devils host number 8 Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish were victorious last year in the matchup between the 2 teams at AT&T Stadium with a 37-34 final. In fact, Arizona State has never beaten Notre Dame. They are 0-3 all-time. Here is Sun Devils head coach Todd Graham on the matchup.
They're the best that they've been in a long, long time. I've been competing against them since 2010, And man, I mean, they got phenomenal players. This is why you coach. This is why you play. These are the kind of games I want to coach in, our players want to play in, and obviously our fans are going to want to see. So we're excited to have that game right here at Sun Devil Stadium with Sun Devil Nation packing the house and being our 12th man.
That will be a good one in the Pac-12 as well. Now you look at Washington State, Oregon State. Luke Falk will be the starting quarterback for the Cougs, making his first start on the road. We also have Colorado at Arizona for you here on Pac-12 Networks at 5 p.m. Mikey and Rick Neuheisel, Curtis Conway, they'll all be here in studio breaking down the entire schedule for you on Saturday. Stay with us. We'll take you back out to the third set between Arizona State and Stanford next.
Here at Maples Pavilion, #1 Stanford up 2-0 over #20 Arizona State, and we are joined now by the head coach of the Cardinal, John Dunning. And John, your team was very impressive in the first couple of sets. What were some of the areas that you looked at when you talked to them here at the intermission?
Well, you know, I think the game happens in different ways. For us, we knew they had been playing great defense coming in here. Last 8 or 10 matches, they'd really held their opponents down, and if they're going to do that to us, then we have to play defense against them. And so our block was very motivated. We had a lot of good touches, and I thought our defense played great behind them. And the danger there is this third game, we have to come out with more energy because we know they are.
Coach, can you just talk about defense with Kyle Gilbert in particular? I think she continues to do a great job at just improvement on the season, and she certainly is standing out tonight. 13 digs.
Yeah, I thought Kyle did a great job the first 2 games, really on balance. We've been working on it, and she's kind of exploding the balls, having good range. She did a great job and ducked some really good balls they hit. It really helped us to kind of keep the momentum going our way.
All right, John, thanks very much. We appreciate the insight.
You bet. Thank you.
John Dunning's team trying to remain undefeated, and if they continue to go to this player right here, Inky Ajanaku, they've got a chance.
It starts with defense, right? It starts with that passing to Kyle Gilbert, and then you get it up to Maddie Bug or whoever's going to set that ball. And when you set the middle, Inky Ajanaku, you see just how lethal she is on that slide play right in the middle when it's quick. You take a look at her numbers. Hitting percentage, .312, 8 kills, 4 blocks, but impressive for ASU. And perhaps Jason Watson will find this as a gem of this match tonight. Mercedes-Benz, 6 kills, hitting .556 and 1 block.
Absolutely, Mercedes-Benz number is very solid. They need to just find another player to go along with her, but they can continue to look to her just as the Cardinal can continue to look to Inky Ajanaku.
Well, like Bree Bailey's numbers, .385. She's low air. She hasn't had any air. She's got 5 kills, 13 attempts.
She needed that. They have needed Bree Bailey to get going, the sophomore for the Sun Devils, and maybe this will be the match to turn things around. If she could get going with Mercedes-Benz, that would be a great combination. And then, of course, they always have Macy Gardner. And out of the intermission, the first serve is an ace for Megan McGee and the Cardinal.
Stanford was so good on Sunday against Oregon, and John Dunning talked to me about that. He said, we are always thinking about who do we serve, how aggressive do we want to be. Just an error there by McGee, but this is an aggressive Stanford serving team attacking their spots.
Well, McGee is the best on the team in service aces, as we just saw her get one and then the service error following. A jump serve there from Ariano. Gardner, big swing.
High off the hands, too. She made a nice adjustment.
There's Bailey. You mentioned her numbers. How about a set attempt by Inky Ajanaku in the middle, but a net violation goes against her. It'll go to Arizona State.
Again, the middle's for Stanford. They've been practicing that. They need to learn how to set. John Dunning says it's been working quite well. It's something we spend time doing, and don't be surprised if we see it. We've seen it a couple times here tonight with Inky.
A lot on that jump serve, but it just goes long. So we are tied up here in set 3. Bianca Ariano, the junior setter out of Phoenix. She was invited back in February for the tryouts for the national volleyball team, U.S. team. A great experience that is. Multiple players from this Sun Devils team were invited to go train. You can learn a lot from those experiences.
It's just a huge compliment to have Team USA call your number. And you know, Kizzy Willie was a player that got invited too, and she actually ended up being on the roster, the collegiate national roster.
That player as well, Inky Ajanaku, trained with the senior national team down in Anaheim in the offseason. Those experiences really, when you're playing with the top level players.
And that's what you get when you're in this conference. I mean, we could go into the Pac-12 media guide and you'd see a list a mile long of players that have had invitations to Team USA. And how about Team USA and all those? They're always sending out tweets about Pac-12 volleyball. You got to love it.
Nice rally here, big swing from Bree Bailey and a smile on her face. Madison McDaniel has also checked in for the Sun Devils. And now they have Whitney Follett back into the front row. Bree Bailey, Coach Watson said earlier in the season, was being so hard on herself, just putting too much pressure. He said he wanted her to enjoy the success and not worry so much about trying to be perfect, but rather just celebrate the successes. This was a back and forth set right here. There's Bree Bailey. She's playing very well. I think she's starting to enjoy it a little bit more. Kyle Gilbert, standout senior libero, just long on that serve, and Arizona State will take the lead back.
It's a good read by ASU. That ball just came off Gilbert's hand wrong, and there is Jason Watson, very open and very candid about how he was not happy the way his team played in the first two sets. They were out here early warming up.
Bo Cather fakes out everybody out of the back, tips it up and over, and we are tied back up again. Well, these coaches can only do so much, and then there's a point where the team has to clean things up, and both teams playing pretty clean right now.
34 kills for Stanford, 19 for ASU.
McDaniel tips it up and over. Back set to Burgess. Big swing.
This team asks a lot of Burgess. She's not afraid to step up. She never takes a rep off in the weight room. She never takes a rep off in training. She can attack, she can defend, block. She had a career-high 5 blocks against UCLA not too long ago.
Ariano takes that second ball, and they'll say net violation, though. Tough break for her, as that time it would have worked.
I like the idea, and I certainly love it when a setter thinks that it's right to play the second ball, but watch the follow-up there, and just on the end of it, she hits the top of the tape.
Serve hitting the tape. Gardner out of the back. There's Lutz with the set to Bo Cather, and the block was there.
That's big. Follett got on the end of that one with her right hand. Here it is again as Bo Cather goes, and you see that Follett, she leans, thinking that maybe she tried to close out that split, but then she goes opposite to the right hand and gets a piece of it.
Serve from Madison McDaniel, the freshman out of the Woodlands, Texas.
Nice left by Burgess.
Out of the back, Brittany Howard. Gardner could barely get back into position. There's a lot of energy being expended by Macy Gardner. And that time, she tips it off the block that hits the antenna. What hustle and effort from Macy Gardner.
Just smart, too. Hustle, effort, high IQ to understand where she was, where the block was. She threw that right into the hands knowing it had a chance.
I'm winded from watching her. Gardner, that time made it look a little easier.
The funny thing is, she's not winded. Let's go back just a moment ago, the play before. Off the hands, Lutz gets a piece of it, and then the swing block again, and so she just says, you know what, let me do something smart. I mean, that's just a volleyball player.
And let me finish it off. They were running her around. Burgess, big swing. Mia Malzahn will check back in for the Sun Devils. Good solid play, though, from Madison McDaniel, the freshman. Might have been one of the 12 best. If you think so, make sure you tweet us. Hashtag ASU versus STAN. Enough off the block there. The point to the Cardinal.
is remarkable to me to see the growth in player, or development of that player right there. Morgan Bocather at the beginning of this year, she stepped up. She had 18 digs against Nebraska, and there was something special about that performance for John Dunning. Really an all-around player, continues to improve as Gardner hits it long. Again, that the presence of the block, Krista, of Stanford is so dominating that when you try to adjust, that's where those hitting errors come in, and that is Moretta Lutz, 6'8".
Lutz and then Morgan Bocather behind her, and it's really impressive that Bocather went from last year playing more of a reserve role, but she kept the positive attitude. She's a team player because she had been a starter a couple seasons prior, as Lutz able to finish there in the middle. Moretta's brother Karsten rows for the Stanford rowing team.
Mom and dad are Stanford graduates. You think there's a legacy going on here for the Lutz family?
I think there's going to be, yes. Smart decision there from Macy Gardner. Knocks that one off the block.
Lutz redshirted last year, and what a great opportunity that was for her to grow and practice and develop as a player, and 6'8", how to use her body. And they had Carly Wopat last year, and so you had Inky and Carly. Probably the best decision for Moretta.
How about the service ace for Hallie Harker, her 18th on the season?
Oh, nicely done, just edged to the line.
Harker, the freshman libero out of Bakersfield, California. Another tough one for Gilbert to handle. Howard, good hustle from Mazan to get there. Bump set to Brittany Howard. And just missing wide. Arizona State lets that one go, and we are tied up again.
It certainly is a different ASU team in this crucial set 3 for the Sun Devils. It's that composure that we talked with Jason Watson about.
He's been trying to get that rhythm back for this team. Free ball to the Sun Devils. Back set to Benz off the slide, and keeping it alive is Stanford. Gardner with a pop.
ASU needed that in a big way because Stanford were out of system. They got a couple free balls to ASU. They couldn't close it out, but on this one, they're able to. And that's an important get for the Sun Devils, to take advantage when Stanford is rarely out of system.
Big hustle by the Cardinal, but a better finish by the Sun Devils. Lutz in the middle. Benz right back at him. So both teams trying to win the middle. And John Dunning wants the timeout as Arizona State extends their lead by 2 here in set 3. John Dunning's team up 2-0, but Arizona State not going away. Women's volleyball has been presented by Tachikara. We've got the ball, you bring the game. This beautiful Hoover Tower and the fountain up front here on the campus of Stanford University. The band trying to pick things up as the Cardinal took the first 2 sets, but Arizona State has definitely regrouped. They're hanging on to a 2-point lead here in set 3. Jason Watson's team definitely playing much better and much more in sync. Jason Watson back a little bit here. These 2 teams met up back on October 12th.
And Jason Watson said that when they found their personality, it went well. And he said his biggest disappointment was that they needed to play better for longer. And his strategy this time was to try to make sure that the middles were going to get involved today, because, Krista, he knew that the middles did not get the swings last time. He said that was a game changer for us.
4 players for the Cardinal with double-figure kills, and out of the timeout, the block has made its presence known for the Sun Devils.
This looks like the ASU team that went on the road just a little while ago and beat Oregon.
Jason Watson's team with a 32 RPI as the Cardinal will take it back. They have solid wins, a win at the time ranked number 17 Hawaii, at Colorado, at USC, and as you mentioned, at number 11 Oregon. Has not been an easy schedule. Non-conference or obviously once you get into conference. He just wants to see a little more consistency from them. We're seeing it here in set 3. Howard tips it off the block, and the Cardinal will get the point.
Well, Inky had a little bit of traffic, and so the middle was not an option for her. So a great set and a good choice to go to Howard at the pin, and she floats and just tools that block there.
Megan McGee back in for Stanford with the serve. Gardner. And a net violation against the Cardinal gives the point to Arizona State.
Look at the quiet confidence of Macy Gardner. Not celebrating too much, realizes that she just wants to lead by example, knows that her team is in a dogfight, but each and every point she gets in that huddle and gets her team together.
Howard hard off the block, the tip too much. Stanford will take it back.
They are a force to be reckoned with, and that's because they have balance. We brought that to you off the top. Let's pay this off. Howard, not exactly somebody we've been calling a lot in set 1 and 2. It was Inky, it was Lutz. We talked about Burgess a lot, and all of a sudden now, look who's stepping up. Howard for the Cardinal.
Howard's a player that I think flew under the radar for a couple of seasons, but not anymore. Teams have to know where they are, as the block was there for the Cardinal that time, and we are tied up.
And the reason why they have to think about Howard is because she's very good in the attack. She's very good digging. She had 6 blocks in the win against UCLA. She can do it all.
Pretty impressive all-around player. Roll shot in. Inky tips it up and over. And Ariano thought she had the pancake. Instead, they'll say it hit the court. Point to the Cardinal.
Now this is where Stanford starts to get dangerous. On Sunday, Oregon played point for point with Stanford in all 3 sets. In fact, Oregon reached 20 first. But Stanford and their upperclassmen, the maturity, it just started to all click.
Bree Bailey has to readjust on that one. There's Howard again, hard off the back.
Add to that you have a hot hitter in Howard right now, and they're not going to stop setting her until somebody steps up and stops her.
Jason Watson now wants the timeout as the Cardinal have come back and take the 2-point lead.
Boy, a great get by Gilbert. That's why John Dunning speaks so highly of her, and Mercedes-Benz knew that they were just so close.
John Dunning talking to Brittany Howard. He wants to see more from her. Jason Watson was over talking to Jason Olsen, our down official. Well, fans, it's shaping up to be another down-to-the-wire finish in Pac-12 football. Tickets are now on sale to the 2014 Pac-12 Football Championship game on Friday, December 5th at the brand-new Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. Don't miss any of the exciting action as Pac-12 crowns its champion at the state-of-the-art venue in the heart of Silicon Valley. Visit pac-12.com/tickets to get your seats today.
Levi Stadium not too far from here. We're in Stanford and Palo Alto, just a stone's throw away for the Pac-12 Championship football game. A beautiful stadium. What a great facility, and what a fantastic season for Pac-12 football.
Oh, it definitely is. We've been talking about the records and making history in some of the other sports. They're going to do the same, I think, in football. Take a look at the numbers. Arizona State set 3 stats. They were hitting in the negative earlier in this match, so definitely above that. Stanford, though, has kicked it up. It was definitely flip-flop there early in this one. Arizona State was back and forth, but had that lead, and then after the last time out, the Cardinal able to regroup. We'll see if Macy Gardner can get her team turned back around. Kelsey Humphreys back in, the freshman out of Newport Beach to serve. Part of the U.S. Junior National team. Played last year in the Czech Republic. Janaku with the tip. Nice save from Mazan. And there's Gardner, hard off the block, out of bounds.
One thing that she can do is she can read a block, and she's got that athletic ability to hang time. Macy Gardner, 6 feet. Oftentimes she's going against blocks that are way up there penetrating the net. She understands what angle to take.
Janaku, big swing, nice up from Harker. Howard right at Gardner, the overpass. Howard again. Binns able to block. Madison McDaniel has come back in well off the net, but the block sends it out of bounds, so point to the Sun Devils.
This is great, and Stanford is clearly leaning and going to Howard, but ASU continues to answer. Stanford goes up by 2, ASU digs deep, competing point for point in set number 3.
Tied back up again. John Dunning now up talking to Jason Olson, our down official. Howard, too much, tried to get it around the block, and the presence at the net for the Sun Devils gives them the point.
And you might see here Stanford look at another option here as Howard goes long to that deep corner cross court. Let's see who Macy serves.
Howard, the block. She couldn't get adjusted, and smiles on the faces of the double block for Arizona State, and John Dunning wants the timeout.
Well, his first timeout a few moments ago, I thought that was a refocus my team timeout, and right now he just wants to call another one and make sure that his upperclassmen just settle in. And he'll be very calm. He'll go into that huddle. We talk at length in this season about how calm he is and how he's able to motivate his team, and he's truly a teacher.
So a 2-point lead now for the Sun Devils. It's been back and forth. And we talk about national rankings. Number 1, Stanford. They are undefeated. And there's another team in the conference, Tammy, that's undefeated as well. And it is Washington, 23-0 overall. 12-0 in conference play. Big reason, Krista Van Sant.
And this is a team that loves Krista Van Sant. Last year's National Player of the Year. But they are not Van Sant-centric. That is a team that has balance. When you take a look at, I think they're one of the best liberos in Cassie Strickland, and you've got Melanie Wade, you've got Kylie Nelson, you've got so many players. Belden is up there right tops in the nation. I believe that she ranks 17th nationally in hitting percentage at just over 40.
I think Belden has probably stood out to me the most. She and Van Sant, you don't know that these players can improve more than they already are giving, and then you see them play and you think they are much better. And the same thing goes for these two teams here. When we talked to John Dunning prior to this one, and you're looking at a team that's undefeated. Can you improve? Yes, we absolutely can. There's always something these coaches can find.
Mark your calendar, November 26th. That will be a great matchup, Stanford and Washington.
That'll be on Pac-12 Networks. John Dunning's team will face Arizona this Friday. Then they'll hit the road again. 3 of their last 4 weekends have been on the road. They are happy to be back home. And for Arizona State, Jason Watson's team, they will head to Cal. They will play them on Friday, and then they get to go back home for the Oregon teams.
Always nice to be home and go home. How is that any different for us, Krista Blanc?
Well, it's not quite as active as, and we don't have studies. Well, we do have studies. We just don't have to get graded on a lot of them. But out of that timeout, Arizona State with some emotion.
Look at this, just pulling away, point by point, even coming out of that break, so important. I'm going to use that word again, composure. Jason Watson talks a lot about it throughout this season.
He will bring in Genevieve Perrotte, the redshirt freshman out of Cave Creek, Arizona. Redshirted last season for the Sun Devils. That's a tough spot to come in when you haven't played at all. I think the blocking game has really picked up for the Sun Devils. McDaniel tries to tip it over.
Burgess, good coverage.
Janaku off the block and in. Point to the Cardinal.
You know, the difference for me for ASU is they might be playing to score rather than not to make an error here in this third set. Inky Janaku on the other end for Stanford on the slide. So effective, but that is a difference for me with this ASU team in set number 3 that I did not see in sets 1 and 2.
Inky a little winded. She'll get a breather as Kyle Gilbert serves. Bailey tips it over the block. What an effort in the lefty from Burgess. Maddie Bug was down on the court. Tries to take that second ball. The block was there, and more emotion for Arizona State.
Maddie Bug goes up against Follett. They're right in the middle, and Follett gets the best of that. Another important point for the Sun Devils.
Bailey just long, untimely service error.
Yep. good way to put it. Untimely error.
Shannon McCready will come back in for Arizona State, and Maddie Bugg will go back to serve. 1 point lead for the Sun Devils. Quick swing there from Madison McDaniel.
Little mini celebration in her huddle. Nothing wrong with that by the freshman. She knows how big this is. And oh, does that feel good to split the block of Lutz and Bocather.
McDaniel, a backup setter for this team, but she was an all-around player in high school. Big attacking as well as passing numbers. Lutz gets the fingertip, gets the point.
Yeah, just brushes that, but it's enough, and it's in the right spot. The defense just could not adjust to that.
Madison McDaniel will get a rest. Burgess to serve. Gardner way off the net. They'll say that one stayed in. And we are tied up here in set 3.
Yeah, it was close, but it was the right call. It was a tough pass. Ariano had to go back in that back row to set that one out well off the net. And the block closes it out for Stanford.
Jason Watson talking to the officials. He knows every single point, every single call is so important in a close match like this.
And there's what I'm talking about is Ariano has to go off, and then that set off the net, and not exactly one that Gardner can't handle, but you can see that Bocather is there, and she's able to put that ball right back in the opponent's court on the line.
Jason Watson's team has been in so many of these close ones. As we take a look at the numbers for the outside hitters from both teams, and Jordan Burgess was really the player that the Cardinal were looking to early on, and she's quieted down just a little bit. There's Macy Gardner.
Something about Stanford, and they do a good job of shutting Macy Gardner down. Last time these two teams met, 159 by Gardner, and 128 here, 11 kills, 9 digs. She'll never not play defense and give you big dig numbers, but Gardner 20 plus kills in the last 2 matches.
Well, Macy Gardner is going to get the majority of the sets, so she's going to have some errors. They need her to clean those up, though. The percentage, the ratio is just too high.
And I think it's the block for Stanford. I mean, that's where her hitting errors have come from. She's trying to go high, but those balls are long.
Arizona State, 7 service errors as well, so serving has hurt them a bit. Couple of aces for the Cardinal, just little areas if they clean up. They are right in this one. It's a must-win set for Arizona State. There's the numbers. They're actually hitting better than Stanford this set and blocking better. Those areas have made the difference. We'll see if they can finish this one off and send it to 4. Gardner readjusts. And it's a good thing. Finds the opening in the back.
And that's the second time that Ariano has had to come out of her spot off the net. And then you're able to see that McCready stepped in and set that over to Gardner.
Harker serve to the back. Bocather, little miss hit. A knuckleball, and we are at set point Sun Devils. Quick to Lutz in the middle. Gardner hard off the block. And the free ball. Gardner again. Looked like she missed it a bit, but she found the opening in the back. And Arizona State is not finished. They take set 3.
And if this does not define Pac-12 women's volleyball, I don't know what does.
Stanford took sets 1 and 2, but Arizona State got the break, and they take set 3. We will have the 4th for you right after this.
Saturday.
Pac-12 women's volleyball is as tough as ever. A record 9 teams went to the NCAA tournament last year. Can they beat it this year, Tammy Blackburn? I don't know. it could happen.
It could happen.
9 teams in the top 35 RPI, and Utah a possibility depending. But look at the jumble below the 2 undefeateds at the top.
Yeah, it's 7-5, 7-5, 7-5, and one more 7-5 at Colorado. Who, by the way, congratulations to Colorado who got their first sweep of the weekend over 2 top-ranked teams. Arizona State, one of them, Arizona.
Yeah, Colorado at the number 21 spot. They had received votes. Oregon State's been playing well. Also, they're a team that just keeps taking sets off of other teams.
And they beat this ASU team.
Yeah.
After ASU just had a big celebration win over Oregon the next night, Oregon State took ASU's number. But, you know, Krista, I'm hoping for 10 for the Pac-12 just because I think that they deserve it. They are the elite conference in women's volleyball. And I mentioned earlier, I'm a big fan of Utah, and I'm hoping and pulling for them for this conference to get 10. I think that's the team, and I do know that they have some more volleyball to play. I think they can get the wins they need.
Yeah, hopefully so. And right now for Arizona State, a team that got in last year, lost in the first round, a 5-set match to BYU. They were frustrated and would love to go back and try to go further. And the Stanford team made it to the regional final and lost to the eventual champs Penn State in a 5-set match. What a match that was. They have been every single year to the NCAA tournament, 33 in a row. Only they and Penn State have done that. And out of that break to start set 4, they go to Inky and they get the first point. Set number 3, hitting-wise, it was Arizona State hitting 256 compared to just 162 to Stanford. So they picked up the hitting in set 3. Overall, Stanford is winning that category, but that was really a big difference. That and the blocking for Arizona State. Bowcather out of the back, off the top of the tape. They'll say there was a touch, and it's going to go to Stanford. John Dunning was up. He wanted to make sure they saw that.
It was slight, but it was there. You probably will be able to see it here, and it just clearly off of Gardner's left hand. Fingertips. Now, Krista, you're right. ASU has improved their hitting percentage and from set 1 to set 2 to set 3. Low error, too, and the blocks, I agree with you.
Gardner, hard shot right at Brittany Howard. She couldn't even get out of the way, off the shoulder.
She didn't even get a chance to put her hands up. Watch this. Her hands were in that ready position, and she was trying to anticipate, but you don't want to commit until you know.
If she takes a shot like that to the face or head, it could possibly cause a concussion. I can't even imagine the impact from the Macy Gardner swing. Burgess hard off the block a little far off the net, and the point to the Cardinals.
Yeah, that block was just about 6 or 8 inches away from the net, and so that penetration did not occur. They were not able to press over the top there over the tape, and that ball falls right on ASU's side.
Bree Bailey readjusting on that one. Lutz in the middle. Gardner, little grunt on that one. Got everything behind it.
2 things, quick, and it had to be, and Lutz wasn't there to close it out, and you see it leans as much as she can, but with Gardner's speed, and she finds that seam. Nicely done by Gardner.
Gardner with a brother who plays basketball at Pace University and another at Northland International University. She's going to keep on going here. Very athletic family, and what a plus Macy Gardner has been. 2-time first-team All-Pac-12. Bump set out to McDaniel, tries to go down the line, and it goes out.
I scribbled a note when I was watching ASU a few weeks ago on my note chart, and it was one thing that I had scribbled down about Macy Gardner. She makes a big play look normal. You know, she just has that ability.
She's very calm about it. You don't see a lot of big emotion from her. She just gets it done. A little adjustment there from McDaniel. Out of the back, Burgess had a lot on that one and sends it out as McDaniel tried to save it. Ariano, the back set to Bree Bailey. What a shot to Burgess. It goes right back over. They'll do it again. This time, this one goes wide. Bree Bailey had to try to make an adjustment. It's too much.
Talked about her athletic ability. Of course, some of that she will tout to her father, Thurl Bailey, who was a great basketball player, 12 seasons in the NBA. I remember growing up watching Thurl Bailey play basketball, most notably for the Utah Jazz and the Delta Center.
Miscue. How about Lutz, though, with the left, punching that one over, and Mercedes-Benz was hoping for a touch, and instead it goes to the Cardinal. Jason Watson wants the timeout as Stanford has extended their lead to 4 here in set 4. A must win for Jason Watson. We'll see if they can regroup right after this on Pac-12 Networks.
Thursday, it's a women's soccer battle.
Back at Maple Pavilion on the campus of Stanford University, the Cardinal, the #1 team in the nation and undefeated, up 2-1 over number 20 Arizona State. And they have a 4-point lead here in set 4. And this is what's remaining for the Sun Devils in their schedule. They will head over to Berkeley and take on Cal on Friday. This is a tough turnaround for them after playing this last weekend. And then they will get to go home and face the Oregon teams and then hit the road again. Not an easy finish for them. And on the other side for the Cardinal, they will see number 16 Arizona on Friday. And then they'll have to hit the road again. And they've already been on the road quite a bit.
I think sometimes people think about going undefeated, and John Dunning doesn't worry about that, but that LA road trip to the Southern California schools in USC, UCLA, that could be a very interesting couple of matches for Stanford on the road at 2 very good programs and a USC team that Mick Haley has been so patient, but now they're really starting to come around and things are starting to click for the Trojans.
Well, they have been incredibly young and not completely healthy. But out of the timeout, a good sign for the Sun Devils as they went to the middle. And Mercedes-Benz will go back to serve. Bump set to Burgess in the back. Tip by Bailey. Lutz, the short, quick, too long, too much on that one. And Arizona State pulls within 2. So good timeout for Jason Watson's team.
They've been responsive and they've been executing out of breaks, especially in set number 3.
His team graduated 4 seniors. Stephanie Preach, their libero, who had over 2,000 career digs. Also a couple of other defensive specialists. So the passing game had to improve and be worked on. And a missed hit out of the back for Burgess, and another point for the Sun Devils. Arizona State hanging right in this one.
They are looking to close out. Now they closed out in set number 3. That's what ASU could not do against Colorado.
The tip from McDaniel. Bump set out to Bocather. McDaniel again, she gets the touch, and we are tied up in set 4. Come back for Arizona State.
You're right, and I think this is an ASU team, when they think about taking care of things on their side, and I mean offensively and their defense, and they're not worried about their opponent, that is when they perform at their best.
Inky Ajanaku not in this rotation, and the Sun Devils have been taking advantage, but finally Moretta Lutz, a little better timing on that one.
How can you not worry, though, when you got the 6'8", great middle, redshirt freshman for Stanford coming right at you. It happens so quick, that up-tempo offense, so effective for the Stanford Cardinal. She goes out, guess who is right there in the front? That's Inky Ajanaku.
Doesn't get any easier for the Sun Devils on the other side. Back set to Bree Bailey, down the line is good. Bree Bailey, who's been struggling a bit, coming into this one hitting 161, and she is turning it around against the Cardinal. Hit negative the last time they met up on October 12th. And the jump serve just long, so taking some chances. Service errors starting to add up a little bit against Arizona State. Shannon McCready back in. Kelsey Humphreys will come in for the Cardinal.
Going in to serve the Cardinal,
Freshman out of Newport Beach. Kelsey's mom, Wendy, was a four-time All-American setter for Stanford. She's part of the Hall of Fame.
Graduated in '87. I think she'd be proud of not only her daughter, but Maddie Bug as well.
Absolutely, quite a tradition here with this sport. Burgess out of the back, wanted the touch, won't get it. Point to Arizona State.
Go back to that comment about them going on the road. Stanford there, that USC at UCLA. The big question is, where will they be playing that UCLA match? And UCLA has been having an opportunity to get back on campus, not in Pauley Pavilion. They will play that match at the John Wooden Center as they have the last week. So they're feeling a little bit better being just on campus. They've been displaced all season due to that flood in the Hollywood area on Sunset Boulevard that displaced them.
Such an unfortunate incident, but they will get back there soon. Inky Ajanaku, so much off the block, it came right at us. Gilbert with the save, hard off the block and down the net.
If you want double the pleasure, sorry Krista, just take a look at Long Beach State's women's volleyball team. Inky's sister plays for them.
Roll shot there from Gardner and took enough off to get the point. Calm and cool, Macy Gardner, the junior out of Gilbert, Arizona. She makes smart decisions. We think so much about her big arm and what she's able to do, but she mixes it up. So does Jordan Burgess.
That's a big arm.
There are some big arms here in the Pac-12. Jordan Burgess won him at 6'1". Her athleticism, though, making up the difference for maybe not being the tallest outside hitter.
Yeah, and I think that's what Macy Gardner gives up. She's 6 feet, so she gives up a lot, but she's got that big arm, and both of them have very similar approaches to the net. They're both athletically gifted, and they use it well.
Ariano at the net, the overpass. She was able to win the joust. Let's off the block. Benz. The overpass, and Mercedes-Benz with the finish, and John Dunning was up. He believes that she was over. He's not going to get the call. She's not allowed to interfere. She was over the net.
She was, yes.
Second ball over by Maddie Bug, and they'll take it back. Maddie's mom, Robin, was a middle blocker at Tennessee, part of their Hall of Fame.
How many great volleyball moms do we have on this squad?
You're starting to see that. I love it, where you start to see the product of some phenomenal former student athletes.
Well, the bloodlines are good, certainly, and Mercedes-Benz.
She's been playing very well. They've been going to her this entire match. Tied back up. Burgess called for that one, and a pretty attempt from Hallie Harker, but it just had too much on it. What an approach from Jordan Burgess.
I was watching her in warm-ups on Sunday in Eugene, Oregon, and there was just something very different about her approach with other players.
She was a three-time state champ out of the state of Florida. National Player of the Year coming in. But breaking her serve are the Sun Devils.
That long, lean body of Bailey, how athletic she is. That's a full swing.
Gilbert somehow got the pass off. Ariano out to McDaniel, who connects. Arizona State takes the lead back.
I'll tell you, McDaniel stepping up on a big stage for a freshman on the home floor of the #1 team in the nation, the Stanford Cardinal, right through the block as Lutz just maybe a little bit late, although I'm not really sure you can say she was late. She was taking care of some other assignments.
McDaniel's made a difference and an adjustment for Arizona State, but the Cardinal continue to go to Lutz in the middle, and it works.
She really opens herself up nicely. I mean, her poise and watch just her shoulders and how she gets right to Maddie Bug, the timing. I tell you, Maddie Bug having to make sure in a timing with a player as tall as this, you really have to work, and that is something that they were able to do and spend some time in the offseason.
Lutz will get a breather. McGee back to serve. There's McDaniel tipping that one over. How about a back set from Ajanaku? Right back at you with the back set, and Bree Bailey with the finish.
Talked about Bailey and Kizzy Willie for ASU, coming from the same hometown, Highland, Utah. They played against each other in the state semifinals.
And now they are teammates and great additions to this Sun Devils team. They'll go to Bailey out of the back of the block, read it the entire way.
Now there's two teammates that get it done, not in high school, but right there on the block. They partner up for the double. There it is, good hands by Howard. You can see just caught her left hand.
Service error to the Cardinal. We'll go right back to Arizona State. That time, it was Bocather. John Dunning talking to his assistants. Howard. It's the angle on that. Ariano, a tough set, but gets it off to Gardner. Inky tips it in and fooled everybody.
It's probably a very important point for Stanford there, because ASU is playing with an incredible amount of confidence, and this is a sport of momentum, and the momentum really swinging the way of ASU. Bailey playing so well, and Stanford needed to stop that and switch momentum.
Mia Malzahn back in for Arizona State. Follett in the middle. They haven't gone to her quite as much. Gardner off the block.
Nice swing.
Follett again in the middle. Slide to Ajanaku and finish.
You know, it's unfortunate that ASU's Follett, it was a middle attack, but there was no approach there. And so what happens is Stanford is in system on the ensuing play, and when they can execute the slide, unbelievable numbers and a great performance by Inky.
Hard off the block, the point for Arizona State.
And the same can be said about Macy Gardner. And she is carrying this team. You love the play of Bailey. It's almost like they're looking at their leader, Macy Gardner, and everybody else around her is stepping up. She makes other players better.
Ajanaku hard off the block. The Cardinal take it back. Back and forth here in set 4.
They'd like a little more of that too. A good pass with a quick right to the middle. They can get it with Lutz, who's now in and available in the middle.
16 kills for Inky Ajanaku. Big swing from Gardner. Maddie Bug tried to take that second ball over, and waiting for her was the block.
Gardner and Benz just anticipated it. You know, Maddie Bug's a smart setter. She doesn't overplay that second ball. She knows when, she knows why, but credit Benz and Gardner.
Burgess down the line. Too much for Ariano, and the Cardinal will take it back. What a set, Tammy.
Yeah, it is. Point for point. This is what Pac-12 women's volleyball is all about. A little too much, as you said, but what a great swing. It's a lot of firepower.
Tough serve. Give the ace to Maddie Bug.
And they're going to continue to serve at Malzahn, who's had some difficulty handling the serve here today. She is not able to get that platform. Her technique, there's just something off about it. That ball rolls right up her arm, and then that just forces everything to be out of system. So I wouldn't be surprised if Stanford goes right back to her.
Maddie Bug, 16th ace of the season. And Jason Watson wanted the timeout. A 2-point lead here in set 4. And the Stanford Cardinal up 2-1. Krista Bluck along with Tammy Blackburn here at Maples Pavilion, and the Stanford team, the #1 team in the nation, still undefeated, 22-0 and 12-0 in conference play. How about the numbers for Jordan Burgess?
14th double-double this season. No surprise. You know, I was so impressed. When they were down in Arizona, Stanford did a good job of getting Burgess the ball. I mean, Arizona was taking away the middle, and so Matty Bugg said, I don't want to set the middle. I want to go to Burgess. And then that was a good strategy, and Jordan Burgess continuing to step up when needed.
Well, the Stanford Cardinal had a couple of players that were players of the week, but the offensive player of the week this week comes from Colorado, Taylor Simpson and her team. What they did in Arizona, Tammy.
She posted 2 double-doubles. As I mentioned earlier, Colorado upset 2 ranked opponents for the first 2-0 weekend of play. 17 kills and 14 digs in a 3-1 win over Arizona. And they came back 18 kills and 10 digs. Taylor Simpson is really fun to watch. A great Colorado team that has been rising to the Pac-12 challenge time and time again. Cassie Strickland, Mary Kate Marshall, other honorees of this week. There's somebody in Macy Gardner who understands what it's like to be decorated and honored with weekly honors.
Definitely is. And Taylor Simpson was voted a National Player of the Week honor as well, so very impressive. And they moved into that number 21 spot after not being ranked prior to that trip. And out of the timeout, a service error by the Cardinal, a plus for the Sun Devils. Tough break for John Dunning's team, as his team was on a roll. A good timeout for Jason Watson.
I got to tell you, the closer this gets to 25 and the fact that ASU is right with him, the whole face of this match has changed.
Back set to Bo Cather, hard off the block, and she'll get it. Diving attempt for Macy Gardner, just couldn't save it. Madison Jordan Burgess back to serve. Short, quick to Benz in the middle. The overpass, there's Benz again. And it is tipped wide, and Arizona State will get the point.
Just rushing some things and just looks out of sort for Stanford. And you have to credit ASU. It's the pressure, it's the up-tempo, and that momentum. Put a little bit of pressure.
Tough serve to handle, but on the opposite side of the antenna, out of bounds. And how about that from Mercedes-Benz? John Dunning wants the timeout as we are tied up again here in set 4. Tougher serving, blocking game, just a cleaner game, I think, from Arizona State the last couple of sets.
And it's a Jason Watson-led team where he completely talks about Stanford being the clean team in this conference. They play so clean, but look at what his team is able to do. In set number 3, they come back and they're just chipping away in this set number 4. John Dunning strategically calling these timeouts at the right time, but the key is Arizona State comes out and they're scoring out of these breaks, and that's what's kept them alive.
He also made an adjustment, bringing in Madison McDaniel, the freshman who has played very well. And we just saw the weekly honor for Taylor Simpson, the offensive player of the week. We also had the defensive player of the week, and Tammy, you mentioned her earlier. How about Cassie Strickland out of Washington?
What a great move by Jim McLaughlin and Strickland to sit down earlier last year and to decide to take her out of that outside hitting position and bring her back to the libero spot. Jim McLaughlin said he had the conversation with her because he knew that she could be a great outside hitter, but she would be an even stronger libero, and it certainly has had a big payoff. But for Oregon State, it's all about Mary Kate Marshall. She recorded 2 double-doubles. The Beavers split the weekend. They're losing in 4 to top-ranked Stanford, so they got a set on this number 1 team in the nation. And you said they've been playing well. Of course, they're well coached by Terry Liskevich.
Big fan of his and that program getting themselves turned around after a tough season last year. And they have caused problems for a lot of teams. They took a set off of the Stanford Cardinal, and they beat this Arizona State team. We are tied up here in set 4. Stanford up 2-1 and out of the timeout. A service error to Mercedes-Benz. Tough break for Jason Watson's team.
You got to wonder if that's going to be the difference in this set number 4, because when that momentum shifts and there's only 3 to go, this is where Stanford is so good at closing. They did this against Oregon on Sunday.
The Cardinal hit a bit better at Arizona State earlier this year, but the blocking game and service errors really is what hurt Arizona State, but that time the block was there.
They're playing to score. They're not worried about making errors. They're playing their match. They're taking care of things on their side of the net.
Tough serve from Bree Bailey. Ajanaku too far off. Hitting error and a point to the Sun Devils, and John Dunning is up and wants the timeout. Must-win set for the Sun Devils, and John Dunning saying, okay, we got to regroup here.
His composure is pretty good, though. I mean, they've been in this situation before. We talked to John Dunning earlier today, and I said, it's okay that you lose some sets? Because last year, remember, this was a Stanford team that was blowing everybody out, and then maybe the payoff at the end of the season, Krista, was not as good as they wanted to. And so he says, we're definitely learning. We learned from our losses in terms of our set losses, and he says it's okay because everybody's better. So a big compliment by that guy, John Dunning, about this conference.
Oh, definitely. Everybody's better. The margin of error is so small, no matter who you're playing, and there is no one that you can look past. You cannot just look at their records and think that you are going to get the automatic win.
And I think here's the key point. A lot of people will say, and coaches and players will tell us, Stanford makes us better, but John Dunning and the Stanford players will say, our opponents also make us better, so it works both ways.
Talking to his team, they really haven't been in this situation a whole lot this season. They have lost a set here or there. Not a lot of 5-set matches, though. And if you are Arizona State, they have had plenty of them. And Jason Watson said, we've seen it. We've been in that pressure, and they've done very well in these circumstances. So we'll see if they can push it. Next Wednesday, number 1 Stanford will be back in action on Pac-12 Networks at 7:30. Don't miss the Cardinal in LA as they go head-to-head with number 19 USC. Live coverage starts next Wednesday at 7:30 on Pac-12 Networks and Pac-12 Now. It's going to be a tough road trip for the Stanford Cardinal, facing both ranked USC and UCLA. Back to serve is Shannon McCready, senior setter out of Hawaii. Missed a few matches earlier because of a concussion this season. They were glad to have her back. Follett off the middle. The pass a little off the mark from the Cardinal. Bowcather just goes wide. John Dunning up, wanted the touch. They'll say no, and we are at set point, Arizona State. John Dunning up, cheering his team on. Calm and cool. Jason Watson on the other side. One-handed set to Ajanaku. And the Cardinal out of system. The pass a little off the mark. Brittany Howard, they'll say, came over. And set number 4 goes to the Sun Devils. We are going to 5. Jason Watson made some adjustments. His team cleaning things up. They take set 4, and we are going to a 5th.
Friday, it's a key top-ranked men's soccer conference.
Welcome back to Pac-12 Women's Volleyball, presented by Touch of Cara, and we are giving you a good one. Or the number 1 team in the nation and the number 20 team in the nation are Stanford and Arizona State, heading into set number 5 here at Maples Pavilion on the campus of Stanford University. And a big reason Arizona State has done well is because Mercedes-Benz has been all over.
Now, she's been really good, but ASU has been in system, and it allows her to be able to execute this slide. And Stanford's really struggled with this slide. And then look, she just goes right down the middle. She splits the block, doing a nice job. Sometimes she gets a 3, sometimes she gets different kind of looks. And the fact that this ASU team is able in sets number 3 and 4 to mix things up at the net, Krista, and use all 30 feet of the net. We know they're going to go to Gardner. We know they're going to get swings, but Mercedes-Benz, a little bit more balance. That has been the key.
Benz with 3 blocks also. Gardner with 17 kills, 13 digs. Another player that came in Madison McDaniel, just 4 kills, but just 1 error. She was a difference maker. And Bree Bailey, 9 kills, just 2 errors for her. A little more balanced than this team has seen in quite some time.
It is, you're absolutely right, and it is an ASU team. You talk about finding their defensive identity. They have done that. John Dunning complimentary of this team. As a reminder, your 5th set rules, set is played to 15. You must win by 2. The teams will in fact switch sides when one team reaches 8 points.
Well, the Stanford Cardinal have not seen very many 5-set matches, Tammy.
3 of them. ASU has 9, and they have a record of 6-3.
So ASU, when they've gotten there, have handled it well. And coming in out of the break, Megan McGee serve into the net. So the first point to Arizona State. Big set for the Sun Devils, the number 20 team in the nation on the road. They are 3-3 coming in on the road in Pac-12 play. This would be huge for them, but the answer there was Brittany Howard.
Something strikes me as this is going to be a set, point for point, much like set number 3 and set number 4.
Yeah, definitely back and forth from both sides as Kelsey Humphreys is back in for the Cardinal to serve. Howard has to take some off. Gardner into the block. She was hiding behind Benz that time, gets the point.
Well, the first one, Ben served as a nice decoy. She went up, and then Macy Gardner, but the ball comes back, and then an opportunity again here for Gardner to put it away. Inky Ajanaku did her job. She penetrated, but a nice job by Gardner to just tool that a bit and get the inside.
Ariano with the serve. Maddie Bug tips that up and over her shoulder and into the opening.
I've been watching Maddie Bug and just watching her nonverbals here, and she came out in set number 4 when the game was tight, and she had just a stoic look on her face. She has that same look on her face right now.
Gardner right at us. We saved the monitor.
Good save, KB. Quick hands. You still have it.
I get it. That was quick reflexes right here. One-handed. I'm trying to be Maddie Bug is what's happening. Arizona State, a 1-point lead. Ajanaku off the slide and just missing wide. I think they're starting to aim at us now. I'm starting to take it a little bit personally. Tied up here in set 5.
I'll tell you, that was a great get by Inky Ajanaku, and she had to make something because it was Maddie Bug who had to come out of her setting position and chase that one down just a bit.
Kyle Gilbert, a service error. Another break for Arizona State. Gilbert, a captain, one of 2 seniors. That'll bring Mercedes-Benz back to serve. Set off the mark. The lift called against Bug, and a 2-point lead here in set 5.
A couple ball handling errors here, and John Dunning going over and speaking to the down referee, Jason Olsen. And meanwhile, ASU is just slowly but surely. This is remarkable.
Burgess, big swing. She'll go again. That block has been so much better for the Sun Devils. Back set to Bailey. Lutz tries to just take that one over. Bailey. How about Brittany Howard out of the back for the Cardinal? They go outside to Madison McDaniel into the net, and a point for the Cardinal.
That is a great rally, and I have 2 names for you in that rally, Follett and Bailey, a big presence, and while they don't end up getting the point goes to Stanford, laying everything out. An untimely hitting error there by McDaniel. Can't blame her, though, just a freshman.
Big swing from Bree Bailey, gets the contact, and ASU takes it back.
You know, Gilbert makes a nice effort, but that ball was redirected off the hands of the block of Bo Cather and Lutz.
Shannon McCready will go back to serve. The quick from Lutz, the block was there. Point, Sun Devils. And John Dunning wants the timeout. He's not going to waste any more time. Jason Watson's team making adjustments. They are up 3 here in set 5. Pavilion on the campus of Stanford University, the #1 team in the nation, undefeated. They are down by 3 to Arizona State here in set 5. What an impressive Pac-12 volleyball match we have seen so far. Krista Blunt along with Tammy Blackburn. And it's been a good one.
The last loss at Maples Pavilion, October 30th, 2013. Over a year. ASU's continuing to hit well, and you know they've matched their service errors from last time these two teams met, and they have done a great job. But the blocks for me, Krista, continuing to step up. Total team blocks 12 for Arizona State, 9 for Stanford.
That's been the difference. Arizona State hit in the negative in set 1. And they have done nothing but improve out of that timeout, though. A big improvement for Stanford as Bo Cather gets the point.
This is an important point for Stanford. Out of a break. They have not been able to score first. Out of the break. That takes the momentum away, and boy, do they need a couple more.
Both teams with fairly high service errors as Follett tips one. What a save from Gilbert. Follett into the double block. Point Stanford. That started with Gilbert's save, though, Tammy. Tough break for Follett.
She is the player that does so much. She has no control of the outcome on the attack, but John Dunning, high praise, and there you see the penetration. Oh, Howard and Lutz celebrating. They know how big that was.
The blocking game. Oh, and trickling over to take. Burgess says, I will take it.
Oh, Ariano just turned her back a little too late. She thought that was into the net. Watch her turn her back, if you can see in this replay. And it's just a little too late. Unfortunate for Ariano.
Tied up in set 5. Tip from McDaniel. Tough bump set. Brittany Howard couldn't quite get there. Lutz and Follett wins it.
Well, the difference was that Follett was right at the net. Lutz wasn't quite at the net.
We will switch sides as Arizona State gets point number 8. There's Moretta Lutz.
Here's that last one. You see what I'm talking about is that Follett got there first. Lutz just a little bit too much space. Follett the last one to touch it down on the opponent's side.
It doesn't necessarily matter your size or your height. It's about timing when you get up to the net on that block, and the timing was there for Whitney Follett. ASU up 1 here in set 5 with Madison McDaniel back to serve. Back set to Bo Cather, the overpass, and Lutz finds the opening.
I love the two hands. Her hands were up. They were in blocking position. To take one of those down, she might have had a hitting error. Sometimes you try too hard. I love the fact that she was patient. She kept both hands up. There they are right there, and then she just puts it away in that open space.
John Dunning talking to Moretta Lutz, telling her what he needs from her as Megan McKee's back in. And how about an ace for Megan McKee? She is best on the team.
Her service aces numbers are impressive, and that was a big one. She's got 2.
2 in this match. How about 25 on the season? Big swing down the line and just wide from Gardner. And Jason Watson is up, and he wants to talk things over with his team as Stanford now has a 2-point lead.
That's a smart timeout, much needed. A great call by Jason Watson. Stanford rattling off some consecutive points, and he wants to stop and not let the runaway train win in this 5th set on their home floor.
This is a team that has had back-to-back 5-set matches, and now they are in their 3rd in a row. This Stanford team is number 1 in the nation. Washington behind them in the 2 spot. And again, 9 teams, make that 8 rather, in the top 25 for the Pac-12. Arizona State sitting in the 20 spot. How big would this be? They have not defeated the Stanford Cardinals since the year 2000. None of these players were involved, obviously. John Dunning wasn't even involved. He was not yet the head coach. This would be big for Jason Watson and his team. This crowd getting a little antsy. It's been a good one.
Uncharted waters for Stanford. Not to lose a set or 2, but to go to 5 and on their home floor nonetheless.
They've only had 3 5-set matches. 2 of those were very early in non-conference play.
Penn State, Illinois, consecutive in that Big Ten and Pac-12 showcase.
Well, this match, I think, should be hashtagged. Yes. It has really been something. The comeback from Arizona State, they struggled so much in set 1 and then started to chip away and have held it close. And taking the last 2 sets, they've pushed it to 5. The pressure for McGee and the serve out of that timeout. Bo Cather off the block. Big swing from Gardner.
Good finish, good snap of the wrist.
Pretty save from McCready. How about the finish in the middle? Macy Gardner breaks the serve. The quick to Benz, miscue on the other side. Point, Arizona State, we are tied up again.
And it just tricked Maddie Bug. I mean, she was right there. I think she thought there was going to be something a little harder, and watch Benz hit it, and that ball had some funky rotation, went right by Bug, who just couldn't quite get it.
Ajanaku, all of that one.
That's an in-system textbook. Great pass, a quick set to the middle there, Inky on that down ball.
Kelsey Humphreys back to serve as she has come back in for the Cardinal. And a tough one to handle for Harker in the back. Free ball from the Sun Devils. Pass off the mark, the joust, and Maddie Bug wins it.
Well, you just said it. It doesn't matter how tall you are. This is a perfect example, Krista Block, is Maddie Bug goes up. She has to make a read. Mercedes-Benz is there. Mercedes-Benz is 6'2", Maddie Bug 6 feet. So Bug giving up a couple inches doesn't matter.
John Dunning says this about Maddie Bug. He said she has such a high IQ, and she is in charge of this team out there.
Technically, coaches will tell you the best way to win a joust, or the only way to win a joust, is to be the last one to touch it. Our net cam showed you right there, Maddie Bug, the last one to touch it.
The junior setter out of Apex, North Carolina, the Pac-12 Setter of the Year last year, and was a second-team All-American. How about 4 All-Americans back for this Stanford team, a team that went to the regional finals. High expectations for this group. They are hitting very well here in set 5, much better than Arizona State, but the Sun Devils are right there. As you mentioned, their blocking game has been solid.
Still leading in team blocks in this match overall. ASU 12. You know, that was the difference in that comeback versus Washington State. You were down there, and I think we chatted after that match, and you said it really was the turnaround point. That was the turnaround point. Krista, in this match here today, was the blocks in set number 3 and then rolling over into set number 4.
Macy Gardner, her 3rd straight match with 20-plus kills. 20 tonight. Makes it seem so easy. I think an area that's really cleaned up for Stanford has been their aces as well. They've been cleaning up the serving. Both teams have fairly high service errors.
I think normally you would say with a 2-point lead, this is a good position for Stanford to be in, but not so in this match. ASU has proven otherwise.
Deep serve. Big swing from Gardner off the antenna. Point, Arizona State.
They're really trying to put pressure on ASU. A couple of deep serve opportunities there, and to make a quick decision. McCready she was actually standing outside the end line and had to make that decision. So Stanford's trying to be aggressive on the serve, the right thing to do.
Bianca Ariano, the setter, back to serve. Ajanaku, enough off the block and the point.
I mean, so predictable. That was just such a great pass. You almost knew it as soon as the pass came out of the back of Jordan Burgess. It was right there, right for the middle set.
Get her, Jordan.
Brittany Howard now to serve. Benz has to tip it. Nice save from Ariano, and Bree Bailey takes some off. Slide to Ajanaku, and they get the point. What a comeback from the Cardinal.
Yeah, this is a real growing opportunity for the Stanford Cardinal. And they are showing signs of maturity.
Match point for Stanford. Gardner, the go-to. The block gets the final point, and #1 Stanford remains undefeated. Tough loss for Arizona State as they made an impressive comeback. But in so many ways, Tammy, it has to be a confidence boost for this team.
I was just going to say, there are some remarkable takeaways for this match. And I think what happens is this sets the stage for an ASU team to go through the rest of this conference and play at a different level, believing that they can play with the best, because tonight they were their best and they scared the Stanford Cardinal, the #1 team in the nation.
What a match. #1 Stanford, 23-0 on the season, takes it 3-2 over Arizona State. We'll have more for you right after this on Pac-12 Networks.
Thursday, the Hub Networks.
Maples Pavilion was rocking, and for good reason. The #1 team in the nation was tested by #20 Arizona State, but they get the win in 5, 3-2. We are joined by one of the key players, Jordan Burgess. And Jordan, a tough one. Your team hasn't faced a lot of 5-set matches. How were you able to keep some of your composure there late in this one?
To be honest, our composure was not completely solid the whole match. Arizona State really pushed us this time, but that's one of our favorite parts about being in the Pac-12. Everyone comes and gives us their best game, and the first 2 sets we were doing pretty well, but then they came back and started serving harder, and they were just a solid team and a solid effort from them.
Jordan, does a win like this rattle you a little bit? Does it make you feel like anything can happen on any given night?
Yeah, honestly, every time we step in the gym, we know that we're going to be completely tested, and this was proof of that. And it's one of our favorite things. Like, we love it every time. So I'm really thankful that they came and fought so hard.
Jordan, your 14th double-double on the season, 16 kills, just 4 errors. Tell us and kind of walk us through some of your attempts and when you were able to connect really well. How that feels to be so high and to bring it so far down?
Oh, it feels great. I think serve, receive, and hitting are probably my favorite parts of the game. So when I get to be set by Maddie all the time, who's a great setter, it makes it really easy and fun. But our whole team does really well. We have awesome middles, and so it's a huge distraction from my set, so I get huge seams all the time. It's a great team to be a part of.
Jordan, as you know in sport, there's takeaways from losses and there's takeaway from wins. It might be too early to ask you this, but what's your immediate reaction to me asking you this? What's your takeaway?
Okay, we need to serve harder, and we need to pass better, and work on maintaining our composure a bit more than we did this match. But always thankful to be tested like this, and it's better to go through these matches right now than to not go through them at all, because as soon as we get to the NCAA tournament, which is coming up very soon, like 3 weeks, we know we're going to be tested every time. So.
Well, and Jordan, it doesn't get much easier. You're right. Number 16, Arizona, will be your next team. You've been out on the road. You finally get home, but it never gets any easier. As this match looks right here, will it be a bit of an eye-opener for you to really hone in on some things as you get ready to face them?
Yeah. We have won in 3 sets, I think, 3 times, which is just proof to how strong the Pac-12 is. And we honestly have a bit of an eye-opener every single weekend about something that we really need to focus on and get better at. So we have practice tomorrow, and I am positive that John will be having us work on some stuff.
I'm sure he will. Jordan, thank you so much for being with us. Congratulations. Your team remains undefeated.
Thank you.
Jordan Burgess, 16 kills, hit 279, her 14th double-double. As we take a look at the match summary, Tammy, and it takes more than just one player, and there were some good ones out there tonight.
Off the top of this show, we talked about the balance of the Stanford Cardinal, Jonaku, Bug, and you cannot forget about the performance of Macy Gardner. It was great balance, Krista Blunt, for me on both sides of the court tonight. ASU brought it, Stanford brought it as well.
Well, earlier in this match, it was all Stanford, and you just weren't feeling it. You got to give a lot of credit to Arizona State and how they were able to regroup after going down 2-0 at the break. They made some adjustments. They calmed down, and they finally found that rhythm. If this is a team that continue on and get more consistency with that, they are a scary team going down the road.
Their road victory over Oregon and the way that they played tonight puts them at a different place. At this time of the year in this conference, they're going to play some better volleyball because of it.
So Stanford, the #1 team in the nation, remains undefeated. They are 13-0 in Pac-12 play. Our producer's been Dennis Kirkpatrick. Our director has been Tim Lay. For Tammy Blackburn and our entire Pac-12 Networks crew, I am Krista Blanc. This is Pac-12 volleyball at its best. We had a good one. #1 Stanford gets the win in 5 over #20 Arizona State. Thanks for joining us, everybody.